Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moody.
And I'm Wajahat Ali, and today we have an amazing show, folks. We're waiting for Congresswoman Ilhan Omar from the 5th District of Minnesota. You know her, you love her, and you know that MAGA is obsessed with her. She's finishing up an interview, but before she comes on, we have some breaking news that shows Danielle, you and I were talking about this, the sordidness, the vulgarity, the disgustingness, the obscenity of white supremacy, of power, of greed, uh, the Epstein files. And Oversight Committee, the House Democrats, just released a whole bunch of photos that, if you will, reveal at least that very powerful men knew Epstein. One of them being the president of the United States, Donald Trump, surrounded by women. There was also Bill Clinton there. There's also, wait for it, Woody Allen, shocking, and Steve Bannon. I do believe we have a photo, folks, that kind of encapsulates the greatest hits. Here's Epstein chatting up with Woody Allen. There's several photos. Epstein chatting up with Steve Bannon, a lot of photos like that. Oh, look, Donald Trump surrounded by young girls. What a shocking surprise. And then also seems to be a mockery of Donald Trump where they're selling condoms called huge condoms, $4.50. Just, Danielle, let's just step back for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump is the president of the United States of America. This is a
Right.
man who's been accused of sexual assault by 24 women. He's a man who's been held liable for sexual assault, for defamation, is a fraudster, is a convicted criminal. In the 90s, we know he partied with Epstein. Epstein said he was his closest friend. They used to chase models. Michael Wolff said those models were aged 14 to 19. This is a man who openly said his Vietnam was having sex and not getting STDs. This is a man who has so many kids from so many different baby mamas, a man who brags about grabbing women by the pee. We knew all of this, and he's the president of the United States. So, what does that say to you about America, Daniel?
I mean, it says that we are a deeply sick country, right? Like, whether or not I believe wholeheartedly that there wasn't any interference in the last election, the reality is that when you actually look at the numbers from 2016 to 2020 to 2024, Donald Trump kept gaining, and particularly kept gaining among who? White women.
That's
And
true.
so when you see these photos, Donald Trump, and you see folks, he's up, the black and white photo. Donald Trump is in the middle. He is flanked by three women. I'm going to say girls. Three girls on one side, three girls on another side, his arms wrapped around them. Is this the picture of a president? Right? Is this something that you look at and you say, oh, this seems to be totally fine? I want you to place any other president of the United States in this photo, and you tell yourself whether or not this would be tolerated. I don't know what it is, Waj, about Donald Trump that allows him to continue to fail up. I don't know what it is about him in particular that allows him to have this type of spell on the American people that allow them to dismiss every single bit of evidence, words from his own mouth. We listened to audio tapes before the 2016 election in his own words about what he thought about women, what he thought that he could do to women. We listened to him on the campaign trail. We have heard Donald Trump in his own words. We've seen pictures, we've seen images of him. We know that he met his current wife, the third one, on Epstein's jet. Like, I don't know why the American people looked at this man and said that they were so bereft with the fact that America elected a black man twice that they needed to find the very worst of white men to prove white supremacy is still dominant.
I think you just said it. I know exactly why he was elected, and I think you do as well, because you just hit the nail on the head. Is he represents uh, white supremacy, greed, vulgarity, and misogyny. He is the end result of America's obsession and inability to distance itself and eradicate its sins of white supremacy, misogyny, and greed. He is the avatar, the manifestation of avarice, of appetite, of id, of greed, of want, of always taking more and more and more without ever being satiated. That's Donald Trump. And of course, we would get a Donald Trump after a Barack Obama. It makes perfect sense, folks, if you really think about it.
Yeah, it's true.
I've always said Donald Trump is as American as apple pie and slavery. Everyone who says, "Oh, he doesn't represent us," he represents a big part of America. You know, America is the Statue of Liberty, welcoming immigrants, and America is also right, Chinese Exclusion Act. America is also, hey, Barack Obama, and America has always been Donald Trump and the Epstein files and raping girls and telling people to send them back and go back to your shithole country. And so it makes perfect sense if you really are honest about what America is in its entirety. But that doesn't mean we have to excuse it, because you're right. This is Danielle. He's never hidden it. Like, you see all the audio clips and interviews with Howard Stern, all these people, like, openly, like, yeah, misogynist. Yeah, I banged all these women. You know, him sexualizing his daughter repeatedly, to the point where, according to a book in his first administration, a DHS secretary who then became chief of staff, General Kelly, was so disturbed by how he was talking about Ivanka, that he said,
Mm-hmm.
"Sir, that's your daughter." And that's not the only example. So what was, let's think about it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Why were you partying for 10 years with Epstein? Why were you on Lolita Express? Why did Epstein say he was your closest friend? Why are there so many photos? Glenn Maxwell, in the summer, the Wall Street Journal reported that Donald Trump wrote a lewd message with a drawing to Jeffrey Epstein for the 50th birthday book that Glenn Maxwell was compiling. He threatened to sue them. Remember that? They
Mm-hmm.
said, no, we're going to stand by reporting. He sued them. A couple months later, what did we get? We got the most of the book, what was in the book, which is disgusting. We talked about it this show, where people openly knew Epstein was like raping girls.
The poems, the limericks, the lewd pictures that were drawn, all to commemorate this known pedophile, this known sex trafficker, right? I think that what it comes down to for me, and this is exactly why Hillary Clinton didn't become president of the United States. It's why, with 107 days to go, that America could not get over both its racism and its misogyny. Deep seated in this country, right, is our hate of women, right, is our dismissal and our hate of women and girls. It's the reason why we've had to have so many pointed campaigns, so many pointed discussions about trying to lift up 50% of the population, because this is what the other 50% thinks of women, right? If we were a society that valued women and girls, don't you think from the first moment that you could have tied Donald Trump to a Jeffrey Epstein, to any of pictures with girls that are well underage, that don't you think that the ick factor would have carried? Donald Trump would have never made it down that escalator. If we actually cared about women and girls, the moment that we heard the audio tape October before the November 16th election, don't you think that that would have been wall to wall coverage? And then the American people would have said absolutely not, because how can I vote for a man that I don't want to leave my daughter home alone with? Right? Like, this is the president of the United States. This is supposed to be the person that we hold up as our leader, that we say to our children, this is who you should want to emulate, right? Like, you should strive for this position. Donald Trump has, you talk about the shitification of things. He has absolutely shitified our entire country, our culture, our body politic, right? To where you cannot knowingly have a child and say, you know what, you should aspire to this. What does that say about us?
That this is who a lot of America is. I mean, I remember, Danielle, the first Trump administration, right before the election. I think it was October, and this was after. Remember the Access Hollywood tape came out. He had a rally in Maine, so I go to Maine for Huffington Post, and I'm there for 9 hours. It was really interesting. All these Trump supporters, and Danielle, I did a video essay about it. It's out there still if you can watch it. Every type of white person under the sun came for Donald Trump. I always joke. It was like the most diverse white crowd. Young whites, old whites, redheaded whites, biker whites, openly racist whites,
Biker wife.
suburban mom whites, single mom. I'm telling you, I spent 9 hours there. At first, people were very skeptical of me. Some were hostile, but they saw me there for 9 hours talking. And eventually people kind of started talking to me. So I asked them, and specifically the way you have 9 hours of footage, the angle was, we mostly focus on these white women for Trump. Like, why would you vote for this guy who openly brags about grabbing women by the pee and apparently had allegedly had sex with a porn star and cheated on his wife, multiple wives, and this and that, and not vote for Clinton. So the level of hate that these white women had for Clinton was like something I haven't seen in my
Right.
life.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, they're like, we'll vote for anyone else other than Clinton. And then there was all these conspiracy theories. And then there was this woman, I'll never forget, middle-aged woman with a teenage daughter. She came for Donald Trump. And she said, I asked her these questions. This is a man who's been credibly accused of sexual assault, grabbing women by the pee, yada, yada, yada. And she said, I'm also a victim of sexual assault. And I'm like, you're still going to vote for him? She goes, yes. And I said, you have a daughter, right? She goes, yes. Would you be comfortable leaving your daughter, teenage daughter, in a room alone with Donald Trump? Guess what she told me?
No.
No, but I'm still going to vote for him.
How like the cognitive dissonance needs to be studied, right? The ability for you to say that you would vote for a man to lead a country, that you wouldn't say, hey, I got to run to the store. Can you watch my daughter for a moment? And the fact that you would say absolutely not, but then vote for that man to lead you. I'm telling you, the insanity that 51% of white women who voted for this man, who actually saw, right? Like, take all of the heat that you had for Hillary Clinton, which I, to this day, still don't understand. Why? Because she said that she would rather work a job than bake cookies, that she said that she stood by her man. I honestly, I really don't understand.
Representative Omar is here.
We are going to pause on the nonsense.
Well, actually, it's not even a pause. It's not even a pause, Danielle, because you think about it, Donald Trump, the way he treats women, the way he talks about women, the vulgarity, the racism, the misogyny, it is manifested in his obsession. I don't know what Representative Omar has done, but man, she lives rent-free in this man's head. She lives rent-free in the GOP's head. And we have Representative Omar, who, mashallah, Representative Omar, I don't know what charm you have, but you live rent-free in Donald's head, MAGA's head, Representative Fine's head. You're a mom, you're a representative, you seem very busy to me, you're active, but maybe you're a jinn. I don't know. What's happening, Representative Omar? Let me ask on behalf of America, Representative Omar, are you a jinn? Oh.
You heard it here first.
We have Representative Omar, a great representative of Minnesota's 5th Congressional District. She's been serving since 2019. Thank you so much for joining Democracy-ish with me and Danielle. We were just talking, Representative Omar, about the Epstein files, and you saw the photos. You saw the photos that were released by the Oversight Committee of the House Democrats. Danielle, can you put up the photo real quick?
Yes,
I really do want to ask you about this. Representative Omar, look. There you go. There's Donald Trump with girls. There's a lewd condom that apparently Epstein released to mock Donald Trump. Huge. There's powerful men that Epstein met, including Steve Bannon, Bill Clinton, Woody Allen. I wanted to ask you, because Danielle and I have always said that it doesn't matter who's in these files. If it is proven that these powerful men, regardless of who they are, truly raped girls, sexually trafficked girls, there should be transparency and accountability. I wanted your response as to why it's so important for us to know what's in the Epstein files, and why do you think Donald Trump has still not released the Epstein files, even though he could do it right now?
Well, it is important to release the Epstein files because these survivors deserve justice. And the American people need to know what powerful men knew and what they did to protect Epstein from facing justice all those years. We're not talking about one survivor. We're not talking about two. We're talking about a lot of survivors. So this is something that was happening more than a decade. And many of these people, whether they are implicated as sex traffickers or predators, they at least are complicit. And it's morally important for us to know who was complicit and have their names out there in the public, because the public needs to know.
Congresswoman Omar, thank you so much for making the time to join Democracy Ish today. We know that you are extraordinarily busy, and it's wonderful to have you. One of the questions that I have for you is, several months ago, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi on MSNBC at the time was asked about what Democrats' role should be, right, in discussing the Epstein files, in being the driving force to ensure that there was transparency and that those that contributed to this sex trafficking ring of girls and boys would come to light. She called it a distraction. She said very clearly, this is a distraction and we need to talk about kitchen table issues. Since then, obviously, we've had the vote, but I wanted to get your thoughts on whether or not this is a distraction or Democrats should be able to do more than one thing at a time.
I mean, it is something that the president definitely wants people to be distracted from. He doesn't want the American people to know that he was pushing his party to become the pedophile protection party, and they were for a really long time. They fought tooth and nail until they understood that this was actually impacting their base, the enthusiasm that their base had, and that they were actually losing the argument, because again, if you remember, it was Republicans, it was MAGA, it was conservatives who kept talking about how it was important to release the Epstein files. The president himself ran on this. And then, funny enough, when we had the opportunity to release it, he was like, no, I don't want it. And you heard Marjorie Taylor Greene say, when she had a conversation with him, he said people were going to be hurt. He obviously didn't say who those people were, but it shows you that he has powerful friends. If it's not him that he's protecting, he at least has powerful friends that he's worried will be impacted by the release of these files. And I would say, no matter what happens, we have to make sure, now that we've started this conversation, we have to make sure we see it through.
That's right.
It has to be part of what Democrats on the Oversight Committee do every single day, is make sure that the files are being released, that they are not redacted, so that the American people can actually read and see the names. We've been talking to a lot of the survivors who want to share names that they want us to read on the House floor. We should be organizing that. We should all be on the floor reading out those names into the record. This is the time to name and shame, and this is the time for there to be accountability for these survivors.
Representative Omar, amen, agree. We have to release the Epstein files, full transparency, full accountability, regardless of who is implicated. Doesn't matter. Justice for the girls. I'm so glad you brought up the girls who are now women. Hundreds of survivors who've been traumatized. And you mentioned distraction. He's trying his best, Donald Trump, to distract from the horrible economy. He's now negative double digits. From healthcare, he's now negative double digits. On immigration, he's now negative double digits. And on Epstein, he's negative 35. The only thing that unites most Americans, Representative, is release the Epstein files. And the way he's distracting, as of the last 2 weeks, is a type of obscene Islamophobia and racism that I have, I've been tracking this. I'm an old man. I've been tracking this for a long time. I haven't seen this overt in 20 years. And he has laser focused on one issue, doubling down on racism against Somalis, immigrants, and Muslims. And you are the avatar, the boogie person of their nightmares. And I want to play 2 clips, and I know you've seen these clips. I hate playing these clips, but you responded to them. Here's a clip from his rally, real quick, from Pennsylvania a couple of days ago. Can we play that real quick, Danielle?
Hold 1 second, because of course right now it doesn't want to play for me, but 1 second, because I think that
we also have the tweet.
Obscene. Here, we have it.
That's from Minnesota, That's called the Great Big Minnesota Scam, with one of the dumbest governors ever in history. I love this Ilhan Omar, whatever the hell her name is, with the little turban. I love her. She comes in, does nothing but bitch. She's always complaining.
I mean, that's projection if I've ever seen it, because I've never seen a president do anything other than come in and bitch for the last 10 years of our lives. But watch.
But it's also a hijab, and it's pretty easy. Ilhan, there you go. I just did it. And I'm not even part of the master race, and I was able to pronounce it. And then too soon. And then this clip from yesterday, Representative.
Okay.
Just last night, folks.
Just last night, with his
Suit
wife.
and tie, folks. Suit and tie.
Yep.
This is the president with his wife.
She does not have an easy job, Tom. You are a difficult man. And Tom is very friendly with the Somalians. You know, he's doing a great job. He's a big fan. He's a big fan of Somalia. Anyway, he said, please correct that. Anyway, thank you, Tom, very much.
Send them home, folks who didn't hear. Send them home. And he said, thank you. And meanwhile, on the stage, Representative, was an immigrant who had a baby when she wasn't a citizen, and then got the Einstein visa for appearing naked on the magazine and brought her entire family there, Melania. But, you know, we sit there and we listen to this, and I do want to ask you, we laugh about it. You're very good at clapping back against him, but this must take a toll, not just on you, but the beautiful Somali community of Minnesota that my wife knew, that she went to school with, that she sits there and she goes, man, these people helped me out. I was away from my family. I was in school, and these people are beautiful people. The fact that the president of the United States calls Somali people garbage and then uses you as a representative and says, send them back. How does that impact you, your family, and the Somali American community?
Well, I mean, the comments are vile, and you know, this unhealthy, creepy obsession that he has on me and the Somali community is just very disturbing. As probably your wife knows, Somalis are very much resilient and strong people, and I saw you tweet about the fact that you didn't know how humorous we were.
The troll game is amazing, mashallah. The Somali troll game is A+.
So I mean, we are coping with mocking them back. I mean, you know, you don't allow the words of a senile, deranged person have an impact on you. You know, we were raised from young age that you don't allow bullies to get to you. And, you know, to us, it's just, it's ridiculous. Like, it's hard to make sense of it. We feel embarrassed for him and for America. This is supposed to be the leader of our nation, and as some will say, the leader of the free world. But he is acting like he is, you know, on a schoolyard, calling people names, and you would actually get suspended, even if you behave the way he behaves on a schoolyard. And so there's no way to like analyze or think or sit with it. You just gotta like laugh, you know, tell them to F off and go about your day, because that is, at least for us, that's the Somali way.
I want to ask you this too, because while I commend the ability to laugh things off, and I commend the ability of the community to just come together, right, in strength and togetherness, what we are seeing, because one of Donald Trump's other escalations is ICE. Right.
Yep.
And using ICE as his own personal Gestapo. We're watching people be put into strangleholds, be beaten, even representatives, priests who are going to try and pray for the detainees. But what we saw on the campaign trail with the eating of the cats and the dogs was the violence escalate against the Haitian community in 2024. Yep. Now the target is the Somali community. And we are seeing, and you can't see from this image because I refuse on this show to kind of elevate the violence.
I'm familiar with the image.
Yeah. And you see this person being treated horrifically, choked before looking Somali. And so what are your thoughts about how we, those that are not a part of the community, but damn sure do not want ICE to be representative of America and our law enforcement, what should we be doing in order to help the communities that come under Donald Trump's target, right? And the target of this regime.
Yeah. I mean, what we are seeing in Minneapolis and across Minnesota, Danielle, the way that you alluded to is like these masked men jumping out of cars, dragging people to the ground, not listening to the fact that they're saying they are U.S. citizens and that they actually have proof to show that, handcuffing them, dragging them back into the car, detaining them for hours. The young man who is in the video that you didn't play, they took him 7 miles away and in the cold told him to walk after he was released. He was a U.S. citizen. He did have his documentation on him to show that he was citizen. They didn't care for it. He was on a lunch break, so they made him also not be able to do his work. And we've seen that not just Somalis or people who look like they could be Somalis, but we've also seen the residual impact that it has on the other immigrant communities in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
We've also seen the impact that it's had on people who have come out to support. There was a white woman in my district in North Minneapolis that was also arrested, detained, and eventually released without charges. And so what the community is doing is that they are all collectively keeping each other informed on where ICE raids are happening. And it is allowing for people to show up, to be able to document, to be able to push back, to be able to urgently get whatever documentation the person who they are trying to abduct is saying that they have. And that, I think, at the moment, we just need to make sure that we are protecting one another and that we are documenting every single action.
Yeah.
Because there will be accountability.
Yeah.
Right? There will be accountability, and there are ways in which some of these documentations can help deliver accountability now. We know that the ICE agents are not identifying themselves. You can't do facial ID because most of them are masked. But they're driving cars. Those cars are registered. They have to write down their name once they book somebody. So there is going to be a way for us to know if there is any criminality that has taken place by an ICE agent, whether they identify themselves today or they are identified tomorrow. But rest assured, there will be accountability.
Wash, I just have a quick follow-up, because you say that there will be, accountability. And I often say that I carry around a mustard seed of hope, right? Because that's about all I can muster at the moment. And I want to believe that there will be accountability. But the question that I have for you is that some governors have been passing legislation to ban the face coverings of ICE agents. Do you think that there should be more of a coordinated push to ensure that there is police officers are not allowed to walk around with their face covers? Should there be more of a coordinated push to have accountability, to have these people on record, badges with their name, no face covering?
Yeah, there is. In the House, we have introduced legislation. Obviously, we're in the minority. We have encouraged, with the help of Democratic AGs, for states that have governors and a majority to be able to pass these legislations. There is a coordinated effort to have a database of information collected. So these efforts are happening across the nation, and definitely in Washington by Democrats.
We keep receipts. You talked about accountability, and we try our best to keep receipts. And we always try to keep receipts here, Congressman Omar. But, what really worries us is that This is now mainstreamed, this hate, this Islamophobia. And this is not, back in the day, there used to be dog whistles. There's no dog whistles anymore. I always joke that if George W. Bush ran as a president in 2025, the GOP would reject him for being a Muslim lover.
Mhm.
And I want to
Yep.
give you two examples because I want to talk about the double standards. I want to talk about the lack of appropriate outrage that comes from not just Republicans, but also the establishment. So here are two examples. Number one, the wealthiest person in the world who wants to be a trillionaire, this freak immigrant who allegedly overstayed his visa, Elon Musk, said he's upset that the Somali Americans in Minnesota get to vote. As a recovering attorney, if you are an American, doesn't matter if you're Somali, you get to vote. And then your colleague yesterday said the following, recently said the following proudly.
I have the hold on. I have
hold
the video of this because it was absolutely appalling.
You make
This is
peace with those who seek your destruction. I think you destroy them first. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
All right, for those who missed it, that's Randy Fine. I'm going to put up the tweet. Can you put up the tweet real quick? Because for those who, okay, this is Congressman Randy Fine, a Republican. This is him on his Twitter handle. This is him tweeting out his own quote. Representative Fine on how to deal with mainstream Muslims. I don't know how you make peace with those who seek your destruction. I think you destroy them first. Congresswoman Omar, your response to Randy Fine, and furthermore, if he had said this about any other group, Congresswoman, it will be wall-to-wall 24/7 coverage. I have not seen it on the front page. I have not seen any calls for him to be censured. What am I missing here, Congresswoman?
Yeah, I mean, this man is just gross. I don't. I've never met somebody more openly hateful, and as repulsive as he is. This was the person who said bombs away, and he wanted all of Gaza's children to be killed. And yes, there is no accountability. I think this kind of rhetoric has become normal. They've all taken off their mask. They feel like they have permission from their leader to be able to do this. And I think it is exhausting to keep up with the level of hate. It's not just the Islamophobia, it's the xenophobia, it's the outright white supremacy language of saying, if you are not white, essentially what they're saying, you do not get a chance to vote. This is like, it's worse than Jim Crow era. We're back to the era of calling Black people boy. This is they want to act as if we are their subjects, and they are our masters.
Yep.
And this idea, when they talk about IQ, when they talk about re-immigration, when they talk about the replacement theory, like all of these are very Nazi rhetoric. And they are choosing. They know what that rhetoric is. They know where we've heard it before. Many of them have heritage of people who that language led to genocide, and they are willing to use that language. And we just have to be vigilant. We just have to understand that this is not a these words are not just rhetoric. These words are things that they are putting out into the environment for eventual policy.
That's right.
And it is that policy that we have to alert people and make sure that they understand, especially when it comes to this midterm is going to be really important to take away the unified power that they have in the House, the Senate, and the executive, and make sure that there is at least a balance or a check so that they do not implement policies that are eventually going to lead to the extermination of people who they don't deem worthy enough of being American.
Congresswoman, I know that you have
And it
to run.
frightens me as I say that, because
No,
it
as
should frighten everyone.
as you say it's something that Waj and I talk about, often on a regular basis on Democracy-ish, because it isn't hyperbolic to say the things that you're saying. You're sitting representative of Congress. You know exactly the inner workings of our government, and how these things easily go from rhetoric to policy, right, and to elimination. And so I know that you have to run. I just wanted to ask you one more question, which is about midterms that you were alluding to. We've seen some wins, right? Some gains in the special elections that we've had this year that have given, again, a bit of hope and of possibility. We've also seen Donald Trump amp up his gerrymandering scheme, right, that has been taken on by Texas, that has been taken on by Florida and other states, just recently, yesterday, rebutted by the state of Indiana, who he's now threatening, right, to take away their federal funding, to essentially bankrupt the state. Given all that is being put by this regime on 2026, given the fact that we're still waiting on the Supreme Court in 2026 to decide to finally gut the Voting Rights Act completely, what hope do you have that Democrats do have what it takes in order to begin to take this country back, given all that this regime is putting on the line?
Yeah, I mean, my hope comes from people like the governor of California, and that should be the model of how Democratic leaders across this country react to the president's desire to grab all the power for himself, and make sure that there isn't any governance that is of a challenge to him ever. We heard from the governor-elect in Virginia say that she will withdraw if more of these maps take place. We've heard from the governor of Illinois. There are, I think, spaces where we are seeing Democrats realize that, even though people didn't think Gavin was going to follow through with it, and that the people of California would actually let him, they saw that there is hunger with the American people, even though we might feel disappointed in the 2024 election. But the American people do believe in democracy. They do want fair representation, and they certainly do not want to go back to monarchy. And so the fact that he wants to make himself the ruler of everything in the United States is something I think that the American people reject, and Democrats need to harness that energy and play ball.
Congresswoman, I'll let you leave in a second. Tell your team just to wait 1 minute to let me be petty, because in the account of to be accountable, I bring receipts. And I see that Marjorie Taylor Greene now and MAGA is splintering. And I see now that she's no longer MAGA and she's America first. And I see her rehabilitation tour. And I just can't abide by it, because I do bring receipts. And I remember her career from the beginning was making horrible accusations against you. I remember the photo that she posted with her with shades holding a gun with you behind her back. And just the past year, folks, not 2 years ago, not 3 years ago, I recall this. Never forget when MTG said Ilhan Omar is a foreign agent acting on behalf of Somalis. She's right. Ilhan Omar should be expelled from Congress. That's your colleague, not for long, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And this is Representative Marjorie Greene, her own tweet. Busy day fighting Democrats. First, Mike Lawler, who's trying to destroy Trump's agenda, and now illegal alien. So not just a jinn, an illegal alien, Ilhan Omar of Somalia. Ilhan, I don't want to repeat that, but you saw. Your response to Marjorie Taylor Greene's alleged rehabilitation and how she is being, if you will, promoted as some reformer and a critic of Donald Trump. Representative Omar. Yep.
The Muslim in me and the mother in me would say we should give people chances. But the petty me, maybe, as much said, that's believe, that she is an awful person. And history will reflect that. And there, and I watched her 60-minute interview. And you could see instantly how she goes from being nice to being, just really awful person. And so I do not believe that she has this sort of, I feel bad that I contributed to the harmful rhetoric that has created the state of politics we are in today. I think she feels bad that she advocated for a man that then turned on her. And has cost her career, has cost her peace. And I think she doesn't know anything else to do because, as somebody who said they were strong, they had all these guns, they were coming for this person and for that person. The first time the president of the United States says something to them, they're like, okay, I'm out. I don't want to be abused. I'm so sorry. I'm leaving and I'm sorry every person I said something to. While, we are still here, actually showing that we have a backbone and strength. Really goes to show the kind of character that she has, and that's the character that we're all gonna remember.
We're gonna have you exit on some exquisite Somali trolling. Can we play this clip real quick, Danielle, in honor of the Somalis and how they're responding to all this hate? Did you see this? I brought it up. Do you see that?
I automatically know.
White land of the north, snow everywhere. But look, the skyline, just like on the old drawings. 3 centuries our elders taught me how. This is Somalia. 3 centuries past, it was promised to us. On these horses through the snow, we have found our land at last. It belongs to us now.
The north was frozen, empty, unforgiving. 3 centuries ago, our mothers and fathers followed a promise across the ocean. Somali hands opening a new map. Somali hearts reading the sky. Here, they found a land of rivers and stars. They named it the way the wind whispered, Minnesota.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Representative Omar. Thank you for taking the time. I've always said this before. Last time we interviewed you, it was for the Daily Beast. Unfortunately, that time was also you were getting hate and threats and attacks. Stay safe.
Yes.
Make sure your family's safe. Laugh, enjoy. It's you laugh it off, but I know this is very tough. It takes a toll. So do your best, inshallah, and know that there's many people this time around. Finally, if you look at the latest poll, people are sick and tired of this hate. They see it as a distraction. They see it as cruelty. They want lower gas prices. They want affordability. They don't want this. And this hate against Somalis simply for existing, this hate against Haitians and Muslims and immigrants. Finally, I believe the majority of Americans who were too quiet for too long as this was happening against you and the squad and immigrants, they're speaking up. Before you leave, please shamelessly promote yourself. How can people support you, follow you, and how can people help the Somali American community?
Yeah, Ilhan MN is my personal handles on all of the socials. I think I'm on everything. And then Rep Omar is the official one if you want to follow the work that we're doing in Congress.
Thank
you so much.
Always go to ilhanomar.com if you want to help make sure we stay in Congress and continue to represent the people of Minnesota.
Thank you so very much for making the time. Thank you for your courage, and thank you for the work that you continue to do on behalf of the people of Minnesota, but on behalf of all of us. We appreciate you.
And breaking news, she didn't say that she wasn't a jinn. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum. Your response to that conversation?
I think that I really love, Wash, that you asked about Marjorie Taylor Greene. because
I had to, Danielle.
because I tell you, Marjorie Taylor Greene was attacked by Donald Trump for what? All of 2 weeks. Ilhan Omar has been the focal point of Donald Trump and MAGA regime's hate for the last 7 years.
That's right.
And she has remained in Congress. She has remained fighting on behalf of her district. She has remained strong, patriotic, and brave. And I think that we forget, right, that like, oh, for Black, for brown, for Muslim folks, for queer folks, oh, it's just supposed to be a part of your character that you're
That's
supposed
right.
to carry the weight of discrimination and hate and racism and Islamophobia. And Marjorie Taylor Greene couldn't carry it for she couldn't carry that water for 2 weeks. That's how pathetic and weak she is. And
Weak
so I think
chin, weak knees, and weak cankles, just like their daddy, Donald Trump. White supremacy is always fragile. I'm so glad she brought that up, right? And then you're
Yeah.
doubling down on that because Ilhan Omar, the squad, but specifically Ilhan Omar, because she's Black, because she's Muslim, because she wears the hijab, because she came here as a refugee, because she's a woman. She is the trifecta, the perfect boogie person for their hate. Like, she's everything. So she's gotten it worse. And I mean, it's not a compare and contrast, but she gets it worse than AOC. She gets it worse than Rashida. She gets it worse than Ayanna Pressley, Letitia James, because in addition to being a Black woman, she's Muslim. And
wears a hijab.
And this is why she's the manifestation of the alien, the invader, the other.
Yep.
And she's been getting death threats, hate threats. Folks, last time I interviewed her for Daily Beast, I think 2.5 years ago, she told me that Chuck Schumer didn't have her back. She goes, I wish you would do more to protect me. Even the Democrats have distanced themselves from her. The Democrats censured Rashida. Democrats joined Republicans in censuring Rashida Tlaib for her comments on Israel. Randy Fine, that piece of shit that we just played that clip of, his tweet where he proudly says against mainstream Muslims, that's me, that we should be destroyed. Nothing, Danielle. And Marjorie Taylor Greene takes one criticism, melts. That one Republican, right, who said, you use the R word. I have a child with disabilities. I will not vote for redistricting. How dare you? Candace Owens versus Tim Pool. They're so fragile. Which is why I've always said, can you imagine if these fragile people walked in the footsteps of what Black people have to endure for a week?
It's the reason why they have so much hate and projection, because they can't stand that we don't leave. They can't stand that we don't crumble. They can't stand our resilience and our fortitude, right? And the fact that we're not allowing for them to define our humanity, right? Like, that's the problem, is that if the shoe were on the other foot, they would fucking melt.
That's right.
Because they can't take it, because they haven't had to forge any type of resilience in their lives when everything has been fucking given to you. So like I look at her and and honestly, the way in which it's the Democratic establishment from when she came into office, through her and the other members of the squad under the bus, made me at that time extraordinarily ashamed to be a Democrat. Because I thought, my God, finally, we have what the future should look like of this party. And Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer did what they always do, right? Which is move to the center and say, well, maybe they should be, lessen. Let's take the microphones away from them. Let's shame them. Let's put them back in their place a bit.
That's right.
And so it was obscene, but the fact that she continues to stand there, that she continues to represent her community and stay strong again is just a reminder. She does give me hope, right? Like, I know that I joke about it often, but she does give me hope, because on days when I don't want to, right, I know that she is facing a hell of a lot more than any of us, because she is the face, she is the avatar, right?
There you go.
That they use to attack. And just walking out her door, having her family, trying to hold her, hold herself with such grace that she does. It's admirable. It's admirable, to say the least.
And I love the Somali troll game. Like, we always knew Somali's troll game was strong, but they have come out with the vengeance. And that's the best way to do it, right? To mock them, to ridicule them, to humiliate them, to make them know no matter what you throw against us, we'll smile, Right. Even if you saw, I don't know if you saw Mo, which is Mo Omar's show on Netflix, a fantastic show, especially season 2, that talks about him being a Palestinian a refugee, and in the end, there's a scene where this family goes through so much, right? For those who haven't seen it, really watch Mo season 2. I mean, it's like topical, it's very powerful. But despite going through everything, they still get humiliated by IDF as they're leaving their homeland back to America. And the mother tells him, the world can hate on you, they can do everything, but they can't take away your joy and your spirit, and our job is
Yep.
to smile. And I think that's what happens. That's how the show ends, with him smiling. And the thing is, we don't have to take it. We, hopefully, inshallah, things won't always be this way. But there is something that we can take this, Danielle. Like, our communities are built for this.
Yep.
I don't think these white supremacists are built for this fight. They're
No,
not
they
made
are
for this
not.
moment. They're weak. They're fragile. Power makes you flabby. It makes you arrogant. It makes you soft. It makes you cankled like Donald Trump. We're seeing these petty little bitches fight against each other, melt down. You saw Tim Pool melt down. You see them going after Candace. You see Tucker Carlson going after Fuentes. You see them, calling each other gay and swingers now. All the teas coming out. They can't take it at all. White fragility. It's not all white people. We're talking about white supremacy, folks. Look at Donald Trump. Can dish it, but they can't take it. They dispense cruelty. They demand civility. They want safe spaces for themselves, no safe spaces for us. They can't compete with a diverse playing field, so they eliminate it, which is how mediocrity, like Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump, gets to fail up and continue being mediocre. Pardon my language. I rarely swear, but I don't know what else to say. Petty little bitches, man. And you see Ilhan Omar. She's like, yeah, okay, got to keep going on. Somali people, Haitian people, Black people, LGBTQ people, Muslim folks. And then, some good news here. Oh, AOC. I should reach out to AOC. I remember one time I reached out to AOC like a couple of years ago, and whoever was working for her, she was like, you want AOC? Ugh. And I'm like, all right, that's enough. I'm not going to sit there and grovel for anyone. AOC does follow me on Twitter, but yeah, this, just because, Danielle,
Yeah.
yesterday was a terrible bad day for Trump and Republicans.
Look, like I say, Waj on Mondays tries to kill me. On Fridays, we usually get some good news, and on this good week, once again, guess what? Federal grand jury refuses to indict Tish James, Attorney General of New York. And why is that? Oh, the same reason why folks were forced to resign from the Department of Justice, because they don't have the goods. There isn't enough evidence, and no one wants to take up the case. And so for the second time in a week, they refuse to indict. So they can keep trying to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. But so far, it ain't sticking.
Yeah, nothing's sticking, folks. And another loss. Let's just do a quick roundup of losses to make ourselves feel happy, because it's true. On Monday.
Mondays, I swear to God, I think on Sunday night, you're like, what can I do to Danielle on Mondays?
And then Monday, right before the show, Danielle's like, oh.
I'm like, this one.
She goes, couldn't you find anything good? I'm like, Danielle, I tried. She goes, fine. Here's my little mustard seed of hope. But we're gonna end on petty, and this is good petty. Danielle, this is a stunning rebuke, folks. This Indiana, look, Republicans dominate Indiana. They got the numbers. Trump and Vance have been publicly bullying Indiana to follow in the footsteps of Texas and redistrict. A couple of months ago, they're like, I don't know. I don't think this will work for us. And now, despite him publicly bullying them, tell them what Indiana Republicans did.
So Indiana Republicans, they said no. The Indiana redistricting map fails 31-19. It wasn't even close, as Aaron Blake wrote here. More Republicans voted against it than for it. Hugely symbolic loss for the Trump administration, given all they have invested in this. And like we were saying in the interview with Congresswoman Omar, is that now Donald Trump and the Republicans are trying to threaten and blackmail Indiana. They are saying, we're pulling all of your funding. We're going to bankrupt the state. essentially all the things that Donald Trump is saying, if I'm the Republicans in Indiana, I'm just taking you to court and I'm going to use your own words as evidence of a quid pro quo that you're trying to get done. Because what else do you call that, Waj? We're going to bankrupt the state. You'll have no roads. Like, this is the type of shit that the president of the United States and the vice president of the United States are saying to Indiana. Where are the states' rights? I thought states had rights.
States' rights.
I guess it's you only have the right to deny women access to bodily autonomy, to deny abortions. But when it comes to states actually having the right to decide for themselves, do we want to redistrict? Donald Trump says no. Do as I say, not as I do.
And also yesterday, it's another breaking news, which is important. We'll talk about it next week. Is who cares about states' rights when you can help your billionaire friends? Guess what, states? You know what Donald Trump said yesterday? You don't get to regulate AI. And if you regulate AI, oh, you're going to be punished. So here come these AI companies run by these billionaires who are going to take up all our resources. If they're successful, remove all the jobs. And if you dare regulate AI, well, this administration's coming after you. This is what you voted for, red states. Some more good news. We're just going to keep the hits coming before we head out in a couple of minutes. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Judge
released again.
She's done. She gives 0 Fs. She goes, I'm out. Peace. Immediately released. This man, folks, real quick. This man should have never, ever, ever, ever been detained. He should have never, ever, ever lost so many months of his life. The administration admitted they picked him up in error. He's been here, no criminal record, married, has kids, married a citizen, kids are citizens. He was walking while brown. They picked up him and like 238 other brown men, kidnapped them, sent them to be tortured and to die in an El Salvador prison. And they're so incompetent that they have never, ever, 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 ever produced a single removal order because he was never ordered removed. But thankfully, yesterday, Judge Shines said, you're out. You got to get out, go back to your family. And I always want to give props to Chris Van Hollen for being the only Democrat when all these other Democrats like Gavin Newsom and everyone else was going to the right. I keep receipts. They all went to the right, throwing the woke under the bus, throwing transgender under the bus, not speaking for pro-Palestinian activists. Remember that? Trying to find the Joe Rogan of the left. Chris Van Hollen went by himself to El Salvador, said, I won't leave until I get proof of life of my constituent. It was in the news, kept in the news. Donald Trump went negative double digits on this issue, and now he's ordered released.
Yeah, I mean, it's extraordinary. I'm very, look, we got to keep, our feet to the fire, keep his name in the press, because they're going to come after him again, right? Like Kilmar Abrego Garcia is not going to be safe in the United States until Donald Trump is no longer president of the United States and this regime is toppled. He will consistently have to look over his shoulder. He will consistently have to live in fear of being locked up for no other reason than existing in America while brown, when he went through the proper legal channels in order to get the ability to stay, right? And finally,
can I end on petty? Back
I was going to say, and with this,
look at an Ilhan Omar, and look at a Kristi Noem, who's being thrown under the bus by the DOJ. There's leaks coming out that if there's one fall person, it'll be Kristi Noem, who has $170 million 2 jets with our taxpayer dollars, so she could travel with her lover Corey Lewandowski, who spends more time cosplaying with the $50,000 Rolex watch, who puts all that money into Botox in her face, not judging, but just keeping it real.
Oh, I'm judging.
I'm judging. And then speaking about the incompetence, this was beautiful. Danielle, please do the honors.
So Representative Magaziner says to her on the Hill yesterday, and I think, let me see if we have the video, because I wanted to play the Benny Thompson one.
You can play that too. Let's play that too.
Okay, so let me say what happened. So Magaziner says, and I played this yesterday on the Danielle Moody show. Have you ever deported a U.S. citizen and a veteran? And instead of Kristi Noem saying, I need to check on that, unclear, not sure, she openly lied and perjured herself before Congress and said no. And then Magaziner turns around and says, well, on Zoom, here we have Senjun Track, who served our country in 1989, and you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old. Do you want to join me in thanking him for his service and explain to us how you deported him?
It was just exquisite. I mean,
But
beautiful.
then I will say this, because this I'm going to play. Benny Thompson did the work yesterday as the ranking member of the Homeland Security Committee when he was questioning Michael Glasheen, who
I
is
love it.
the director of the FBI's national something widgets and things that has to do with investigating terrorist groups. And I want you to listen to Benny Thompson because it was spectacular.
Where in the United States does Antifa exist? If it's a terrorist organization and you've identified it as number one.
We are building out the infrastructure right now.
So what does that mean?
Sorry.
We trying to get the information. You say Antifa is a terrorist organization. Tell us as a committee, how did you come to that? Where do they exist? How many members do they have in the United States as of right now?
Well, that's very fluid. It's ongoing for us to understand that. The same, no different than Al Qaeda and ISIS.
No, I don't want you. I'll ask one question, sir. I just want you to tell us. If you said Antifa is the number one domestic terrorist organization operating in the United States, I just need to know where they are, how many people. I don't want a name. I don't want anything like that. Just how many people have you identified with the FBI that Antifa is made of?
Well, the investigations are active.
They're active in your mind. Where is that? Where is somebody posted this on Threads? They were like, where is Antifa headquartered? In the mind of MAGA. That is where the headquarters are.
But my favorite was, we're building out the infrastructure. You're building out the infrastructure for Antifa, and then also the deer in headlights. I mean, that was
and he's like, I know that you wouldn't come here, because in a longer clip, he's like, I know that you wouldn't come here unprepared, because that doesn't seem right. And he's like, but then Benny Thompson's like, but you did come here unprepared.
They're sloppy, they're lazy, they're turning on each other, they're petty, they're cruel, they're vindictive. It's all falling apart. The problem is like we said, a New York City sewer rat will chew through anything and everyone with its back against the wall. So it is going to get worse before it gets better. The damage has been generational. They have only one playbook, which is cruelty, racism, and illegality. And you also saw yesterday that they're threatening to sanction the ICC unless the ICC promises not to,
because that's what all innocent people do. Please don't prosecute me after I leave office, because everything I'm doing is on the up and up.
Folks, I'm late. Danielle's late. Thank you all for watching. There's a whole bunch of people watching on the Left Hook and Damn Digest. Our Substacks are totally free, no paywalls.
Thank you to
we depend on the kindness of strangers. For the people who do give money and are paid subscribers, that's how we can do this. We depend on the kindness of yours. I have a link up I'm putting in my Substack. Danielle has a link up. So it's for like $3.80 a month if you want to help me out. I think same thing with Danielle, like $3.50 or $4 a month. It goes a long way. This is also on Danielle's YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, we're trying to get her to 60,000 subscribers. All the people who gave money today, this is like tips on YouTube. It goes such a long way. Thank you so much, all these folks. Thank Ernest. I'll try to sleep tomorrow. Tomorrow's my day off.
Tomorrow's his day off.
My wife
and if
told
you
me.
see Waj on friggin' Substack, you call him out.
Yeah, because my wife is like, tomorrow's your day off. I'm trying to take tomorrow a day off. And Danielle, shamelessly promote yourself.
Yeah, folks, you know the deal. Like Waj, terrible capitalists. All of our content is for free. You can do the bare minimum, like, comment, and subscribe. Get this channel into as many feeds as possible. It is free. But if you do have the ability to have to offer, whether it is the tips through the $sign, or to become a paid member of the Danielle Moody channel, or to become a paid member over on Substack, The Damn Digest, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps us deliver you the kind of news with integrity and passion that you deserve. Folks, have a fantastic weekend. We will see you back here when Waj likes to toss me into a pool of acid, where we go over the news of the week. But until then, be well, take care of yourselves, stay healthy, get rest, and don't be a fascist.